Computer. Okay.
You got it.
So the recording has started, and now I'm going to share our screen. And here we go. All good? Everybody can see? Yes. So the Yang Wood Dragon Year 2024. Today, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about this. It's the Chinese New Year, and it's going to be what I now call the projections versus the predictions of what's going to possibly happen in the next 12 months. But the first thing I want to do is say thank you, because I know how incredibly busy you guys are. And I really am so touched that you guys are taking this time out to hang out with me and to hear what I have to say. And even for the people that are going to take the time that are listening to this recording, that you are doing it, because there's only one thing more precious than your time, and that's who we spend it on. So my heart is full knowing that you guys are actually spending this time with me. So thank you. And I hope that you get something valuable from today. Today's talk I'm going to do, it's super dense, right? I'm going to talk about the past, a whole bunch of lessons that we've learned in the last couple of years, because it's always great to give us some context of what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to go on and I'm going to talk about kind of some global projections versus predictions, projections being what I'm kind of feeling is going to happen. And then I'm going to do some personal ones in kind of a global sense of what's going to happen for all people around the world. And then I'm going to narrow it down to 5 tips on how we can handle what's going on energetically right now to make the next year the best year. And then I've got some special stuff for you guys. But first, for those that are listening and those that don't know me, I've got to give you a little bit of who I am. So I'm Esley Wright. I am a holistic interior designer and a Feng Shui specialist. And one of my biggest passions is sustainability. So I'm a huge advocate for green living and all things that are kind of renewable and how to actually make this planet a little bit healthier. In my journey of my life, I've also become an author of 3 small Feng Shui books, Feng Shui and Interior Design combined books, and I am an active writer. I write blogs and I'm a content writer. But as a holistic picture of me, I'm also a cat mama, and I will expect that Chaplain will join us at some point this evening, because he usually does around this time to take off my glasses and tell me that I'm talking too much or I'm working too much. I live in Spain, so I'm a beach walker on a regular basis, and I am always a seeker. But why the heck do you really want to listen to me? You know, I've told you who I am, blah, 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 blah. And I would say, you listen to me only because I've got a bunch of experience. I've won some awards, I've gotten some certifications, and I'm published. So not in any stretch of the imagination am I a know-it-all, because I'm not. I consider myself a student in all of these things, but I'd like to share in regards to it. And I guess after, a little bit of time, my lessons have actually, gotten through here. And so hopefully I can pass some of that knowledge on to you guys. So I'm hoping that there's some value, and this is, justification of why you guys are actually here listening to me. But first, why are we even here? Why did you guys even sign up for this whole Feng Shui predictions talk? The first big reason I would say that anyone would really care about what is going on in the Chinese Lunar New Year is because that 1.425 billion people in the world, that is the population of China right now, actually are huge advocates and listening to what this energy in the Lunar New Year is all about. And when I say that that's just the number of China, we've got India, which is probably going to overtake this number this year in population. So we are looking at 20+% of the world's population that is basically making decisions on their life. When they have babies, when they get married, what they wear, how they change things in their house, based on this process of what I'm going to share with you today. So it's an awful lot of people who are actually doing this. Not that I'm a huge believer in saying that you have to follow the leader, but if there's a lot of people doing something, you need to take notice. You either need to take notice to not follow it. Like my mom used to say, if everyone's jumping off the bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge? No, but you're going to take notice, right? This is something that I think is really, really important. And it's one of the things that got me going on this world. Divination is the forecasting, fortune telling, the way of looking at the future. I am not considering myself a fortune teller. I do not have a crystal ball. But the process of doing this is not, I mean, it looks like it's smoke and mirrors. It looks like it's looking at a crystal ball, but in fact, it is a very detailed, deep way of actually looking at patterns. Centuries and centuries of research has been done to figure out all of these patterns that are used in what looks very mystical from the outside. And for someone like me who's been studying this for over 15 years, I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface in regards to all the information that is available. I'm only giving you a tiny portion of what's available because these tools are really quite deep, quite intense, but it is a practice of centuries of looking at the patterns of what's going on in order to be able to predict the best possibility of what's going forward. It's very scientific, in fact, even if it looks like smoke and mirrors to the Westerner's mind. And the third reason why I think that this is incredibly valuable and why you should be caring and paying attention to this is something that also the Western mind really, really struggles to wrap her head around. It's about the elements, the 5 elements. Really easy to notice in the world today that we as Westerners in first world countries, for the most part, have no connection with nature. We just really aren't doing it. And everything I'm going to talk about today is really intertwined and interconnected with the 5 natural elements in the world. You know, climate change is a really great example of the fact that we are out of balance with that. So one of the biggest reasons why I follow this and I start to look at it, because it's all about trying to balance those elements. But the first step is awareness of those elements in the first place. We sometimes feel like we live in a silo and we're completely separate from things, and we aren't. We, as the sapiens who live on this planet, need the planet in order to survive, at least right now. So the elements are incredibly important. And Feng Shui, just a brief touch on this, because I'm assuming most of you have a good understanding of what Feng Shui is, and that's not what this topic is. I can do a whole workshop on that, as probably many of you have been to. Feng Shui is simply the mindful arrangement and manipulation of your built environment, your spaces and places, in order to maximize your safety, security. And that therefore brings abundance and health and love and all that other kind of stuff. But it's one of the things that you actually have control over. And that's part of that whole kind of art and science of the whole predictability and things that I'm doing right now to talk about is based on the Feng Shui practical tools of how to mindfully arrange your space. It's one of the things I do a lot for my clients is we integrate that with my interior design, but it has nothing to do with interior design. It has to do with creating a mindful flow in your space that is balancing the 5 elements in order to bring you safety for the most part, in a very simple way of putting it. And the last thing of why I think all of you guys are here and you should care is learning all of this stuff gives you a tool to become more empowered. Knowledge is power. So you get some information that's valuable, even if it's just one little piece of information, it's going to empower you to be able to have a better life. And that is my goal for all of you. So that is why you are here. Now I'm going to share where we have come from, the past, a little bit of the kind of history. I'm starting with 2020 for a couple of reasons. One, it was one of the most biggest transformational experiences, not just for us in our lifetime, but kind of globally. The pandemic really shifted things. It was the year of the Yang water rat. It was the year of survival. I did my Feng Shui predictions for that year in January, way before the pandemic was a reality, at least in my head. I knew it was there, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I definitely did not think there was going to be a global pandemic per se. But my 5 tips, really interesting on how they actually fed into it. And I did a bunch of lectures that year that kind of really helped people realize, keep moving, the fact that collaborations were really important. You needed to clear up your papers and think long term, and you needed to spice up your life, which was spicing up your home. So the funny thing about this is the rat is the beginning of the Chinese 12 animal cycle. And the Chinese patterns of looking at things are based on 12 animals, the 5 elements, and some earthly branches and stems. So it ends up being a 60-year cycle, right? They're combining the yin and the yang, the elements, the 5 elements, and the 12 animals. But it all starts, with 1, and the rat was the first year. So this is one of the reasons why survival started in 2020. Then we moved on to the grounding year in 2021, which was the metal yang ox. And this year was all about slowing down, renewing yourself, letting stuff go, taking care of yourself. It was a very different energy than the survival energy. I'm pretty sure all of you can remember exactly what that year was like, because, the pandemic did something with our grasp on time, but the year after the pandemic was this year of complete grounding. And it was a year to try to stay calm, which is completely in alignment with the ox. And the metal ox exactly, specifically. 2022 was the tiger year, the Yang water tiger year. And that was like crazy because he was all about like active change, energy. You were to be bold. You were supposed to really do things differently. You had to be positive. You had to go out there and do it. And it was all about home improvements. So survival, then you had to do the grounding, and you were changed in 2022. And then last year was the bunny rabbit year. And the bunny rabbit year was a big change because it was yin. Yin is about internal, reflective work, kind of dark, in time, receiving energy. And it was a water rabbit. So a lot of water in our animals in the last 5 years, right? And the last year was all about preparing, right? You had to get clear on what you wanted to do. You really needed to become a team player. You needed to have some consistency with what you were doing. It was the year to help other people, and it was the year to create a cozy home. Don't know how well you guys did with those last year, but last year was the year of preparing. So the lessons learned: survival, grounding, change, preparing. Okay, so you can see there's actually a progression going on. I also am going to hold my hand up and say I never, I analyzed the year that I'm currently in without looking at where the previous years were. So this was kind of like when I go back at the end to do the presentation, I look at this and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting how these things, happen the way that they do. There is a logic, there is a pattern of evolution on how things are actually going in regards to it. So this year, where are we now? What is this year? You obviously know because you actually, you already know because it's the Yang Wood Dragon year, right? Because that is what I have actually said to you guys. Why you're here, it was the name of the presentation, all of that kind of stuff. And this year is all about opportunity. It's so perfect, right? It comes after the year of preparing, setting yourself up. Now it's the year that you actually have the opportunity. The yang of the yin and yang, for those that don't know, it's about the balancing. We've gone from a yin year last year with the rabbit to yang. So there's going to be a dynamic. It's about action. It's about brightness. It's about moving. It has the masculine energy. It's like go, 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 go. So that's where we're shifting, shift in energy. Interesting. We're going from the water to the wood. The wood element is all about growth and flexibility and renewal. It's kind of like, a firmly stable tree that actually goes in the wind. And then, of course, we've got the dragon. And the dragon, who is the only animal in the 12 animals of the Chinese astrology system that is a mythological creature. Always an interesting thing. But the dragon is considered incredibly auspicious. Also very powerful, very courageous, and an alchemist. So you can see how those keywords, that's the energy of this year that we're just about to embark on the 10th of February. We're going into the Yang Wood Dragon year, which is all about opportunities. But drum roll, please. There is something bigger. Oh my God, can there be something bigger? Yes, people, there can be something bigger. So the Chinese animal changes every year, right? I just showed you that it changes every single year. You have a different energy that needs to change every single year. But what you don't know, because while you've been working with me, this has not come up, there is a 20-year cycle that's also deeply embedded in this ancient process that has been going on for a really long time. And this 20-year cycle is going from the 8 to the 9. And holy moly cannoli, people, when I started doing my research, it's like, man, oh man, oh man, oh man, holy moly. It is a really, really, really big shift. So on February 4th, so, these things are just slightly different. We switch 2024 into a new cycle, the 9 fire cycle. We came from the 8 earth for the last 20 years. So from 2004 to 2024 was 8 earth. Now we're going into 9 fire. What does that mean for you guys? What does that mean for us? That means that there is a massive global shift that's about to take place. It's going from enlightenment, from abundance. So the last 20 years, the energy was all about abundance, right? All about building, all about money, all about going after things. We're now going into the age of enlightenment. Okay, that's a big shift. Also, the last 20 years was all about the young male. So you think about the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and that kind of thing. There was all these kind of like young, go get it energy. Of course, I'm loving this because this is going to the middle-aged woman. The next 20 years is all about us, people. So it's shifting to the midlife female who's going to be the one that's going to actually be making the enlightenment energy moving forward. I have nothing to do with this. I did not create this. I did not make this stuff up. It has nothing to do with me, but I'm super excited. I'm super excited for all of you guys. It is shifting from what the last 20 years was a lot about the earth, a lot about real estate, a lot about buildings. It's now going to technology. The fire energy is all about light, bright electricity, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure you've already started to feel some of this shift because, of course, you don't close one door and open another door on these energetic shifts that quickly. There's been a little bit of a prelude coming in for the last couple of years, but there is now the shift. It's actually you're jumping from one to the other. So we are going to be in the technology age. It is absolutely going to be the time for innovation. So the big shift with the Feng Shui phase fire 9 is going to be happening. And this is going to have a ripple effect in every element, every human being, everywhere in the entire planet. It's going to be changing things on a much bigger scale than, the wood dragon is. The wood dragon is also super crazy, powerful, important, and out there, right? With the power and the energy and the alchemy and all of that and the yang energy. So there you've got these two things working in unison together. And that is meaning that this next year is going to be seriously full of a lot of changes, huge amounts of opportunity that gives you the potential for transformation. I say that to you as personally, but there is going to be transformation that's just going to be happening around us, whether we like it or not. It's kind of like it's just going to happen. So I don't know. You have a moment now to be thinking, what is 2024 going to be for you? You know, is it going to be, you're going to turn opportunity into a transformation? It's the year to really try to take courage and grab onto your dreams and go forward. And it is definitely the year to shine your light, right? So what are you going to do with that year? While you were thinking about that, I'm going to share with you, because I've done the research, what is going to happen in the world. I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight of what I am projecting is going to happen. The first thing that's going to be massive is that there's going to be technology advancements. Artificial intelligence is going to transform everything, whether we like it or not. You know, I'm an old enough woman that I actually have had a difficult time with technology. And those of you who have been in my life long enough period of time actually know that that's true. It's taken me a long time to be able to get onto it. I'm a creative. I really like my paper, my pen and paper, and I like doing things kind of physically. Obviously, I'm a physical space designer, but there is no jumping off of this bandwagon. This is here to stay. It is not going away, and it is more than likely going to transform our world in ways that we can't even fathom. Tech is here. Transparency is going to be really important going forward. Cybersecurity issues are going to be really a big danger zone. Huge amounts of opportunity in this world. And there's also talk about space exploration happening again in the dragon year. There was a big stuff, the last big dragon year. So now that seems to be taking off. So in the global, that's what's going to happen. The second big global thing is geopolitical dynamics. We are going to have a whole bunch of elections going on this year that are not just the United States, which of course being American is something that is hard to not be in that whole world of what's going on with that. But there's also quite a few other major, massive elections that are going around the world. So there's going to be a lot of complex narratives that are going on, new leaderships. There's going to be a complete power struggle that's going to be going on in regards to the world. So the global politics need to become more global. We need to make them more global versus being individual, the way that they have been going for the last couple of years. And the social justice movements where the people are actually starting to rise up and argue that they realize that things need to be done differently is going to start to show its face a lot this next year and going forward. There is going to be an economic evolution. This is what is being predicted, is that there's just going to be a change in the way that we look at money. We're going to have a change in the way that we buy things. Our expectations are going to be done. Obviously, there are higher prices. The recession, concern and all of that is just, there's going to be bigger changes that are going on in the way that the economic world is. I can't tell you what that is. It's just on the forecast that it's actually, there's going to be a massive transformation in the way that we relate to money. Don't know how that's going to look. Don't know if that's related to technology, but that is saying that there's going to be some massive working styles and jobs that are going to really seriously be morphing, and the definition of what success is isn't going to be the same. And environmental consciousness. We cannot keep hiding from this. So from a global standpoint, it's just becoming too much in our face that it's going to have to rise up. And the dragon is the protector of the earth. He is an auspicious, very caring animal. So the dragon is number 5 in the 12 animals. But you would think if we have a mystical, magical, incredible creature, the order of the Chinese animals from mythology, of the Chinese mythology, is they're in the order of how they crossed the finish line of a race to the emperor. So why wouldn't the dragon be number one, being that he's mythical and all powerful and all of that kind of stuff? And it was because during the race, the dragon decided he needed to stop because he saw that a village was on fire, and he went and he took care of all of those people. And he brought water to actually put out the fire. So he gave up winning the race in order to help save an environment. So there's also a lot of auspiciousness that he is that the dragon overlooks the earth and agriculture and all of that. So the dragon is the protector. So this is going to be the year that environmental consciousness is really starting to rise up, because we are also going to have a whole bunch of natural disasters that are going to just continue in the realm of what they have been doing. So that's what's going on in the world. Probably some stuff you've already know. Maybe there have been a few interesting things for, you know, you guys to think about. But there's also the global personal, before I get into the 5 tips, which is at the end. This is going to be, and this has a lot to do with the combination, not only of the yang wood dragon, but it has to do with the 9 fire, right? So it's going to be the time for empowerment. This is the time for people to shine. It is time for people to be authentic, to get into the flow, and to have your courage to go out there. So it is really the time to do that, especially for the women. It's also the time to join the collective. It is time that we stop focusing on being independent and autonomous. It doesn't work. It's not how we're designed. We work so much better as a community. So we need to be focusing on that. And I believe that the world is going to be heading in that direction, where we're going to start working together differently. We really want transformation globally. We're going to need to be getting together. We can't keep operating independently. Even as countries, we can't operate independently. Nothing is not interconnected right now. There's a big rally going on in France right now about the agricultural system, and all the farmers are having a really difficult time because they can't survive. They can't survive with the way things are operating in France. And they're going to their government and saying, you need to change something. But the truth is, France can't do it as an isolated. It is because the agriculture is completely connected globally now. We buy kiwis from New Zealand and potatoes from wherever, you know, and olive oil from Spain, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's a global process of the food distribution system. So we need to be thinking about how we need to work differently together. So going forward, we need to be really forcing the issue of making ourselves work more as a collective. And then we need to come from love, loving kindness, choosing your words with care. Confrontations this year are going to be really bad, because the energy of the dragon, I talked a lot about his really great qualities. Keep calling him a he, but anyways, the dragon also has a dark side. You know, he's got a fiery temper. And, you know, as a wood dragon, he can be a little insular. And so you really want to choose your words with care. You really do not want confrontations. All of this also ties in, again, as I'm saying, with the fire 9. A lot of fire energy. Really, it's passion, and it's purpose, and it's moving out into your light, but it's also explosive. Like the fire energy can get out of control. It can burn things down. It can be a destroyer. So you really need to hone your patience, make more solid commitments. The year of the dragon is the #1 year to actually have babies and to get married in China. So it's also a year of love from that standpoint. And the last thing from a global perspective, again, to reiterate this, obviously sustainability advocate. So this stuff kind of always pops to top of mind, but you know, our bigger home, we all live on this planet. We all live together. Everything from technology is making us much more interlinked. there is a shift in awareness that is starting to happen because there's natural disasters and limited resources. So we're not able to ignore it anymore. So there's going to have to be a lifestyle change. And that doesn't mean anything bad. That doesn't mean doing things less. That it just means that there's going to have to be change in the way that we used to do things, the way we used to consume things. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities that come as a result of looking at the world a little bit differently. So now, most of you actually that know me came for this, for the 5 tips, because these are going to be the things that I give, really simple little tips on what you can do that you focus on. I have my Post-it from last year. Like it's so nice to have something that is just small bite-sized chunks that you can do immediately. Put it into action, remind yourself constantly, these are the things that are going to be in alignment with the energy of the dragon. Okay, so what are these for this year? Oh, I said this already, but not it's worth repeating, right? Every single new year is a change. So often, and this is really interesting as an interior designer, we think one and done. Like once we do it, we never need to do this again. I never want to go through that renovation process again. Oh my God. But in reality, people, that's not true. You evolve, you change, you grow, you shrink, you age, right? We learn new things every single day. Definitely every single year. So if you evolve, your space should evolve. Now, I'm not changing, saying you have to change everything. You don't have to move everything around, do a massive renovation. But every new year, you need to know that there's a shift in energy, internal and external. And so you need to adjust. You need to adjust your behavior. You need to adjust. And in Feng Shui is all about mindfully managing the arrangement of your space in order to create the best possibilities for a successful year, right? And that does change every year. If you do not do that and you stay stuck, you're not going to get evolved. You're going to end up having negative things and more disasters happen. I'm not a doom and gloom. I never use Feng Shui in the term of saying we've got to cure you. I always talk about how can we enhance your possibilities, right? So these 5 tips are all about with that in mind. So the 5 tips for this year: cultivate, adapt, innovate, connect, and harmonize. Okay, I'm going to share in depth what I mean for each one of these. Cultivate. This is the year you really need to get your mindset right. You need to have growth in your brain. You need to have positivity. You need to nurture or cultivate new opportunities, because this is what's happening, whether we like it or not. We're on this road. It isn't so much about speed this year, much more about intensity. It's intense. You really need to cultivate personal and professional development. You need to keep yourself evolving. Don't allow yourself to get stuck. You need to plant your seeds for the long-term vision. Don't get caught in immediate gratification. Bad. It's immature. Doesn't work. It worked in the last 20-year cycle because we were focused on the young guys. Now that we're in the middle-aged woman, 9 fire, you need to plant those seeds. You need to think long-term. You need to foster resilience. And you need to correct and continue, be able to pivot. So your number 1 thing is to cultivate. Number 2, adaptability. Oh, you just need to expect the unexpected this year. It's going to be, from what I can tell, there are going to be things that you out of this world that unseen ever before. Our world is massively going to transform in front of us. So you have got to be able to hone how to adapt in the middle of something. This is, some of this is like, oh shit, it's really hard for me to even think how I'm going to do this, right? You have to change how you adjust your approach. Do not think about getting super stuck in the way of doing one thing, because you'll miss the opportunities. You have to be able to adapt. You need to be able to look at what's going on in the global landscape, because the global landscape is literally morphing as we speak. And you need to respond effectively to these challenges, like immediately. Like you just need to, again, it's smart. It's not about racing. It's not about speed. It's about intensity, but you have to be able to adapt. We're not going to be able to not do it. And of course, that reminds me a lot of 2020 when we were talking about having to pivot. A little bit different. The third tip for 2024 is innovate. This is the time for creative people. It's really awesome time for creatives, artists, writers. It's just a time because it's about problem solving. It's about expression. It's about authenticity. So you really need to be able to channel the spirit of invention. You need to explore different ways of doing things that literally blow your mind, because your mind is going to be completely blown, people. There's going to be so many things that are going to be completely mind-blowing this year in 2024 that we can't even imagine what they are going to look like. And then they're going to happen and you're going to be like, wow. And you need to be able to embrace these technologies and the technologies that are going to help you be creative in a different way. So that is innovate. The fourth one is about connection. And you keep hearing this. I'm sure those that have been coming to me for a long time, you see in some way or another, one of my 5 tips, Tom's, last year it was about being a team player, right? Not something I was ever taught, as a kid. But the more I go deeply into this, we really need to foster meaningful connections, find a support network, seek collaboration. This is going to help your overall resiliency. We are designed to be a tribe. This crap about individualism is really harming us. It's harming the planet and it's harming us individually. So one of my 5 tips is to keep, throwing this out there, that we need to connect deeper. And fostering deeper, meaningful relationships are going to open doors for you. So there's, not that's going to be the reason why you do it, but it does. More people, new ideas come up. You can be more creative. There's so many benefits to actually connection. And the last tip is about harmonizing your home. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the outside world. You want to make sure that your home has a harmony, a balance, a sense of soothingness in it. Your home environment is where you springboard for how you show up in the world. You need to harmonize your environment. When I talk about the concept of decluttering sustainably, I mean that because that's become such a hot topic and a big thing. And we have conspicuously become over consumers. But I do not like when I watch people decluttering and throwing away their stuff on the street willy-nilly, and then having to turn around and rebuy stuff, right? So if you're going to declutter or organize, just surrounding yourself with things that you love. You should never have anything in your house that you don't love or find functional, right? You need to declutter sustainably, meaning repurpose it, give it to someone who needs it, sell it, right? But your home needs to be full of harmony and grace, because what's going on out there, it's going to seem destabilizing. It is. I can't lie. That's the energy of everything that's coming with the 9 fire and the dragon. It's going to feel like holy shit. It is. So having a safe space at home is going to be pretty vital to build that resiliency, to allow you to reground yourself. So when you go back out in the world to shine your light, you got a safe space to do it. So, oh my God, people, that was a lot of information. So I'm going to do a quick summary of all of this. And then I'm going to get some questions. And I'm also happy to share the recording of this with anyone who wants it. So the lessons learned the last couple of years have been bringing us to this point. We started with COVID in 2020, the beginning of the cycle of the Chinese animals with the rat going from survival to grounding, a year of change with the tiger. And then last year, we were a year of preparing with the bunny rabbit to finally show up this year for the year of opportunity. So that is where we are from the lessons. And 2024 is the opportunity for transformation. You're going to need courage this year. My advice is to go for it. Shine your light, but don't play with fire. Meaning, be careful with your words, build resiliency and patience. Don't do anything that you wouldn't want your best friend to do. And remember that the big shift is happening. This is about shining your light, enlightenment, and innovation. So it's not just the Yang wood dragon. This only happens once every 20 years. So it was even new for me, but it's been building. But this year, it's going to be the massive energetic shift. It's much heavier, much more intense this year. So you need to keep that in mind with everything that you're doing. And the global projections, technology is top. It's going to be mind-blowing. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of politics that are going to go on. That's going to really, the dynamics of the way the world is going to be operating is going to be different. I believe that the way we look at money is shifting and going to really evolve and change to something else. And stuff going on with the planet is going to be unable to be ignored. For people, personal, time for empowerment, time to join the collective again. Stop being by yourself. Not saying that all of you that live by yourself, that's like, time that you need to go and join a commune. But, you already get that being part of groups means something, being connected with people. Make sure that you're always coming from love and make sure that you're actually starting to pay attention and not sticking your head in the sand about the planet. Like, I feel like everybody needs to go out and plant a tree. So the 5 tips: cultivate growth, adapt effectively, innovate creatively, connect deeply, and harmonize your home. There we go. I feel like I've just run a race. So the last thing I'm going to offer you guys, if you can still breathe, is that there are a few little special treats that I'm going to offer if you are interested in working with me on anything in your home. Lots of you already have, but so a little Chinese animal fun. I didn't even go down that road, but it is going to be the best year for the monkeys, pigs, and roosters. Benjamin, yeah, it's so great. It's going to be the most challenging year for dogs. And again, that just means challenging. It doesn't mean horrible, doesn't mean bad. There are all ways of actually balancing these things out. And if you're turning 60 this year, it is a freaking great year for you. Like, oh my God, it's going to be a great year. Of course, I'm not turning 60 this year, but anyways, so that's just a little bit of Chinese animal fun. My special offers are, if you want me to do a Feng Shui review of your house, I'm doing an offer of 308 euros, or a 9-star key in a Chinese animal reading for 2024 at 39. If you guys are interested, you can just direct message me. You all have my details in regards to it. But more importantly, is I want to stay connected with each and every one of you. My website is holisticinteriordesigns.com. My blog is changeyourspace.info, but I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And if you aren't signed up for my blog and newsletter, and you do sign up for it, I will send you the new moon ritual that I have created, because there is a new moon on February 9th, the night before the Chinese New Year. So it's extra powerful in regards to how it can help you manifest transitioning into the Lunar New Year, welcoming in the Dragon Year with even more power, because the new moon has a great power for that. So I would love to have you guys stay connected. And if I'm going to stop sharing my screen and say, how does everybody feel? Anybody okay?
Digesting it
Completely
all.
overwhelmed, questions back and forth in my head. What about this? What about that? But excited too.
Yes, it is a lot of information, but I did recognize that it was time is valuable. And even if I went a little slower, I felt like it's definitely that kind of level of intensity is a good forerunner for what 2024 is going to be like. And you know, full disclosure, as a person who struggles with technology myself and getting overwhelmed at the speed of light with all this stuff, it's very interesting about how my own meditations have been about get into the flow, because right now this is happening. So I'm not seeing if anyone had posted any specific chats. Yes, I think a few people did. I'm happy to send recordings to anybody that wants. I see that we've lost a couple of people because they actually had to leave. Does anyone have any questions? No. Great. Well,
It was amazing, totally amazing. And it gives us a lot to think about. Whether we're thinking positively or negatively, right? But that it was fabulous. I really enjoyed it. And it's interesting. I love that you talked about starting with 2020 and seeing how it gives you an opportunity to look back to see how you did I think a lot of us intuitively handled a lot of what you said happened. So very cool.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
very cool. Oh, and
I think it's
go ahead.
no.
I was just going to say, I do. Should I do send me the link for the recording? I would like to go through it again.
Very happy to do that. Like I said, I think it's quite a dense amount of information. And trust you me, I had to narrow it down. I had like, you know, pages and pages, and I had to decide how much information to share. And I hope I haven't overwhelmed. Normally my presentation isn't quite so dense. But I really felt this year that there was the overall context was important given where we are energetically and with the shifts. I'll be fascinated for us to have a conversation next year to see where we're going, because everything is showing that there's going to be a very complex narrative. And what keeps coming up is alchemy. Like there are going to be such transformations of things that we almost can't even fathom right now. So, you know, it will be interesting to see what does that actually show up as for us.
Hey, Lee, that was awesome. And I have to go because I'm ill a little bit. I have to lay down, but it was really cool. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna think about you the next few days.
I hope you feel better.
And hey, Casey. Yeah, goodbye. See you soon, maybe in Barcelona. Okay, bye.
So does anybody else feel like they have any questions that are urgent and important, or do you need to?
So I think that I'll
Oh,
just say something.
sorry.
I'm
Gabriella.
going to
Go
go
ahead.
this time. Oh,
Well, I was just thinking with the decluttering, like it's such an auspicious time just before the new year to do some of that and kind of putting your house in order in so many ways, which you kind of touched on just before all of this starts, all of this fire and brimstone. So,
Well, Gabriella, I'll send you the information for the new year, the new moon ritual that will give you you know, a little bit of a guidance on how to actually transfer from one year to the next. But yes, it's a good idea to clean your house, fix anything that's broken, give away, donate. It's all about sustainably decluttering. So
Oh,
Thank you
I
so
would
much. This
like-
is really greatly.
Oh, I want to do that also. The full moon, the new moon. So put me on that list as well.
okay.
It is so cool because what I've noticed, just for a second, is intuitively I started doing some of these things. Like at the house, because I have two homes. I have the city apartment and the house. And down at the house, I have some really beautiful Chinese rugs that that we got years ago. And I started moving them around, and the energy has changed in the house. I mean, it's so cool. So thank you for actually, giving us more on that, because it's so appropriate right now, especially the decluttering.
And stay tuned to some of my blogs, because I have blogs that will help you with a few specific details on that I didn't even get to, about how you can shift things in your home in order to work with the dragon energy. We just didn't have time for that today. Benjamin.
Yes. First of all, thank you. That was so informative. I've got notes all over the place, so I'll be digesting those as the time goes by. And for me, I felt what was so exciting was the cultivation, planting seeds, doing these things. And in a way, for me, also a little bit, a 9-year is not only about planting, but making sure the plantings are in the correct area. So not planting everywhere, but being perhaps more focused. And I think that goes to connecting, being connected, really understanding what seeds you're planting and how they will grow. And then, of course, all of that comes with harmonize. So it really, to me personally, it speaks very much about, look, not everything is good. And this is a time for being selective and really connecting and being innovative with what you plant, what you really, truly want to focus on. So that's really been very eye-opening for me. Thank you.
No, thank you for that wonderful interpretation of it. And it's interesting because as humans, as sapiens, we seem to have a knee-jerk reaction to being scared of change. And so the funny thing is that I would not say that this projection is negative. But it's interesting because a couple people coming back saying, "Ooh, it sounds really, like doom and gloom." It isn't. This is opportunity, a massive transformation of what's going to happen. And it's the opportunity for how are you going to navigate that? Because it's happening. Just like, how do you navigate a rainstorm? How do you navigate when it's really warm outside? It's not even that it's right or wrong or good or bad. It simply is what it is. And how you, in the context of your life, are going to navigate that in the journey over the next 12 months and over the next X amount of years is part of what you were saying, Benjamin, about how you need to think about, how your specific connections. Who are you going to connect with? How are you going to harmonize things? Where are you going to plant your seeds? Yeah, that's great. That's very
true.
Good.
And it's really, I think, to me, all of that is encapsulated in what you said, which is choose your words. That's really very much it. Be conscious of how you show up. Be conscious of your connections. Be conscious of adapting. So choose your words. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I always love to have another Feng Shui person who has expertise come in, because it's, the way that you express yourself is different, but it's the same. Yeah. I love it. So wonderful. Anybody else?
I don't know if you can see the hands up. Can you see them?
Oh, I can, and I've completely ignored them.
It's okay. They're actually, the colors a bit difficult to see.
Yes, no, and that's true. So Kirsten, since you've just told me that you've got your hand up and I can now see it.
Someone else has their hand up too. Habiba. So she's next. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to make just some comments. It was really informative. I'm a bit of a dummy on this subject, I would say. I know about Feng Shui a bit, but that's why I came, because I thought it would be interesting. But yeah, the biggest takeaway was definitely the 5 tips. I really got my notes, had to write down then. So yeah, just thank you. It was really, really nice. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And yes, those at the end are good because they're chunked down, bite-sized chunks. It gives you something that you can actually take away, own,
Exactly.
and go away. The rest of it is information to kind of allow it to digest over time.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. Habiba. Habiba, did you have a question that you wanted to share? Can't hear you. No.
I think she's trying to find the mute. Bottom left is the mute.
Yes. Okay, I found it. So it was wonderful presentation and really what I needed to hear. I've been struggling for a while with figuring out how to get rid of the clutter in my home and how to just make my space more calming and inviting. And I feel like this is the year that I'm actually going to be able to do that. But I want to know how to give myself a boost or support to actually make it happen this year, because I say it every year, but I really feel like there is some momentum that I want to capitalize on to actually let this be it for me. And so just any recommendations on how to really feed that motivation so I can get this done, because it's really holding me back.
Yes, that's a great question, because obviously sounds like something is blocking your energy, and it sounds like that actually has been cumulative over a period of time. And therefore you've got some stagnant. So one of the first things I would probably suggest doing is doing a space clearing in your space. And when you do a space clearing, it helps you shift your energy and the energy in your space. I specifically recommend it for people who have been trying for a period of time to declutter, but who have been unable to do it, because it's kind of a nice way to kickstart that process. And it forces you, if you're doing it, if you do a ritual like that, and it can be a ritual that you figure out something you can privately send a message to me and I can give you some tips in regards to it, that intention of doing something before you set up your action plan would be a great way to break through some of the invisible clutter that is actually holding you back. That to me would always be the first step. But this year, in regards to the dragon, what I would say is you want to see if you can connect with somebody who would be able to help you. Ask for help.
Okay. Yeah.
Use your community.
Okay.
It can be a friend, it can be a family, but this does not need to be something that is done solo.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have a question too. Thanks so much. That was really inspiring, and I have so much I'm thinking of. Often I sort of want to make loads of changes, and as we all know, that's not a great plan. It's better to start with one thing. If you were a person who has trouble prioritizing, do you have any advice for this particular year?
Yes, and I don't know, are you still part of the Coastal Women's group?
Yes.
So I think you can go back and look at the recording that I just did on the vision boards and how to use Feng Shui, but I'll give you a synopsis right now. Your life has 9 areas in it. You know this because we've worked together in regards to it. You need to figure out only 3 of those areas that need to be enhanced and narrow that down to 1. And then that's the area of your life and your home that you focus on. And if you only focus on 1, it will impact all the other 8 to the point that some of the things that you needed to shift in those will miraculously have just disappeared. But if you can get it where you're focusing on one through completion, then you will actually realize that through the context, everything else will change. And I have to tell you also that if you are in a place right now that has a lot of gray, that's great, because the color of gray is about creativity, and it's in the area of completion of the Feng Shui Bagua. So ironically, that color is very supportive for what your needs are right now. And intuitively, when you said that to me, I thought, somehow that feels like the right color for you right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it was the color of my school uniform. So you always have this like slight aversion to it. A little bit.
Oh, gray is not my favorite color. I, as a designer, as a human being, I think a couple of years ago, Benjamin Moore's favorite color of the year in the United States was like, dusty gray or dismal gray or foggy morning or something like that. And I was like, holy moly cannoli, really? Like after the COVID and all of that, and people are still gray walls, gray. But there is a place for everything and in context. And you can have white walls or gray walls and have colors as accents throughout the other areas of this space that can change and evolve with you with what you need. This year, the colors that I feel are really auspicious for 2024, and this will be in my blogs over the next coming weeks and months. I feel that gold is a really good color. Golds and yellows will be good in regards to kind of harmony, trying to create a sense of harmony. You can also go for a combination of red and gold with orange to kind of make sure that you don't use too much red because the fire energy is already big. But if you're feeling that you need a boost, I'm feeling that orange is the right color. And if you want to honor the kind of regalness of the dragon, and this is also part of the information about doing the new moon, purple is the color of kind of abundance and really kind of making the dragon feel loved, which is what we really want to do when we welcome him into our home for the new year.
Lovely, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I love the questions. Thank you so much. The questions and the comments are always so much fun. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining me. I really hope that you did find this valuable. I am always available for anybody who has actually come and joined. I'm happy to send the recording to you. And I say that you have rung my bell. So from a Feng Shui perspective, if you have a question, that you weren't wishing to ask in this group, in this forum, I'm always happy for you to privately message me. And I think that I know and have written down who wanted the recording and who wanted the new moon ritual. So if I miss you, just reach out to me. Okay, well, thank you. And may you have a wonderful transition into next year. And may all your dreams come true. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Lee.
Bye.